We've all been waiting a very long time for this special day. Although Chris is only 3 years older than me, my parents would always tell me that he used to just sit there and watch me and peer over me when I was a baby to make sure that nothing ever happened to me. He was supposedly a very protective older brother. Apparently that is not very long. My first real true memory of Chris was a very traumatic one. We had probably moved to America. He was doing something in the backyard. And I, of course, the younger, curious sibling, I was curious. What's he doing? So I creep up behind him. It turns out he was chopping out a tree in the backyard with a wakabee. Wakabee! For those of you who don't know what a wakabee is, it's a very large knife. So I ended up in the emergency room, getting stitches between my eyes. But it's funny, because I don't remember getting that as a kid. I was just really curious as to what he was doing. When we were a little older, it was always a constant battle between me and Chris for the ball. This was, of course, the days before cell phones, dating up to this. As soon as we got a second phone line, 90% of our fighting had probably stopped. And also it helped that I moved away to college. So I didn't know anymore. Chris, through all of these years, you've been a lot of things to me while we were growing up. My personal bully that would chase me around the house and beat me up, and the brother who would always make me do things for him, like go change the channel, go get a Coke, pretty much whatever he wanted, I would do right and call. However, one of the things I can most attribute to Chris is definitely self-defense. I can punch harder than most girls that you know, and probably some guys. Just ask my husband to do it. Obviously, through our years growing up, it was more fighting and friendly, but things changed back when I got back from college. He took me on my first clubbing adventures in Houston. We had many a fun night at Saba and Grasshopper. We could actually hang out and have fun with each other. I think the fact that I was 21 had something to do with it, I'm not sure. The year I graduated college, Chris, me, and one of his buddies, Brent, went on a trip to New York. This was actually my first adventure traveling with Chris, so I was a little hesitant. But I have to say, we had the time of our lives. We got into more than a little trouble with each other. Whether it was launching credit off the top of a hotel building, or getting kicked off of buses, I still remember this trip. It's one of the best I've taken 7 years later. Chris and I have definitely become closer over the past several years. We've been through a lot together, and I still consider him an annoying older brother that tries to make it easy for him, even today, as we're getting close for the wedding. But I see him as a friend also. All of our friends, both old and new, have frequently made comments about how the 3 siblings are so close, and somehow over the years, it's really become true. So, I do have a bad reputation in the family, and not sure how this happened, but it's become known that if anyone ever wanted to get rid of a girlfriend or boyfriend, just to send him my way. I think more than what I do. My charming personality would instantaneously get rid of them. Apparently, giving Chris, I'm going to finish this with a quote about a man in love is incomplete until he is married, and then he is finished. Chris and Tessie, we wish you the best of luck in your life together. Always know that we will be here for you when you need me.
Guys, give it up for one more time, please, for my wife, Christina. Okay, so I was supposed to write a speech about how great Chris is and how long I've known him, how wonderful he is. But because of his last-minuteness, I've been scrambling for the past 4 days and actually didn't get a chance to write a speech. So your AD has successfully passed on to me. I did make 3 notes here, but I'll probably... Joe has finally taken that award away from me. So... What? Watch those videos. Anyway, so... When Christina and I first were friends in school, there was a time where, she didn't want me to meet either one of her brothers. She's like, no, you don't need to meet them. Let's just, of course, they planned a party when none of my boys are around for backup because, I need some help here. So, Chris walks in, he's got his entourage with him. And I was like, oh boy, I'm sweating, my palms are all sweaty, my stomach's got butterflies, all this stuff. I'm so scared, right? So he comes up to me and says, hi, I'm Chris. I said, hi. I'm Jason. And after that, he buys me a very stiff shot of Grey Goose, which was the drink of 2005 for us. And I was like, okay, great. Let me take this shot. And of course, all the butterflies are not settled, so I have to run to the bathroom really quick. So I come back, and I'm like, okay, I've got to figure out what I'm going to talk to Chris about. So I'm running through all kinds of different ideas. I don't know anything about cars, I got the IT background, but his IT is way different than mine. So I was like, oh boy. So I'm like pacing around the bathroom for a little bit. And then I finally say, okay, I'm just going to go figure this out. So I walk out there. So I walk up to the bar. And there Chris is with both of his shirt sleeves rolled up above his elbows. And I was like, what is this guy doing? And he had one of Christina's friends next to him rubbing on his arm. I was like, okay, that's a little kinky. And I was like, what's going on? And I'm listening, I kind of eavesdrop on the conversation. And Chris is telling this friend of ours what the appropriate way is to wax your arms. And of course, I look at Chris's arms and there's no hair there. I was like, oh my God, I don't have to be scared of this guy. I have hair on my arms. At that point, I didn't need my boys, I didn't have any butterflies, I didn't need any drinks, because you know what? I'm more of a man than that guy. Okay, so that's enough of making fun of him. He hasn't waxed his arms since then, he tells me. But he has a very fine coat of hair on his arms. Since that point, it's been over almost 5.5 years since Chris and I first met. And we've had, I don't know, maybe 100,000 lines of G-chat conversations in that time. We've taken probably 20 or 30 or 40 or maybe even 100 trips together. We've seen the world. We've seen all over the U.S. And I was doing it because I wanted to be a traveler, an adventurer, and see what's going on in the world. He was doing it to become platinum elite on Continental. This guy would get on a plane Friday after work and make 18 stops just to rack up enough miles to get to the next level. It's like a game. So he would leave Friday, come back Sunday, and that was about it. I said, what did you do in these cities? I had a coffee in Seattle, and I went to the bathroom in Minneapolis. I had a hamburger in Austin. I was like, you actually went places? No, just all in the airport. I was like, oh. But the other things that Chris is famous for is Banana Talk. All the guys that are here know what Banana Talk is, right? Okay, you guys know what Banana Talk is. If you take Parrot chocolate and put the English filter on there, it becomes Banana Talk. So he became the king of making up little phrases like no blood in the ice melon. Any idea what that means? Kami chora chora helper. So there's many of those phrases along the years, many trips. And what I can say about Chris is that he's a caring, loving, smart, funny guy. He's also slacker, non-functional, and a very big procrastinator. But regardless of all that, like Joe said, Christina said, I think everyone said it so far, if anything were to ever happen to anybody in this room, Chris Kettlebell would be the first person to show up to make sure everything was going all right, or help out in any way.
Yeah.
So, Tessie, you've got yourself a great guy. Because you have a great guy, so you have a great guy, and so all of the family now shows up, and she's a very quiet, little shy, timid girl. And if anyone knows Chris and Chris's friends and Chris's family, tiny, timid, and shy don't work around us. We go big or we go home. So I took it upon myself to give Tessie her initiation. I was like, Tessie, why aren't you talking? Tessie, say something. We're going to sit here and make fun of you. Hey, why do you only wear dresses? Hey, what's that funny little dance move of yours? Who drinks rum? And I went on this tirade, and before you know it, she became just a big K***THIE as the rest of us. And now I'm really glad that you are part of the family. You have brought out many things in Chris that I didn't know existed. He's a better person since meeting you. He's a more caring person since meeting you. And I think he's actually learned how to read a watch now. So he actually shows up on time to things. So, congratulations to the both of you, and let's keep the parties rolling.